Admiral Hyunwoo Park stood at the observation deck of Luna Command, watching the Earth slowly turn in the darkness of space. He had served in the Earth Defense Fleet for 30 years, fighting pirates and rebels across human space. Nothing had prepared him for what appeared on his screens that morning. The alien ships came out of nowhere. One moment, the outer sensors showed empty space beyond Pluto. The next moment, 12 massive vessels hung there like silver mountains floating in the void. Each ship was the size of a small moon, covered in strange crystals that pulsed with blue light. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Communications Officer Mi Young-han. Her voice shook as she spoke. "It's coming from the lead ship." "Put it on the main screen," Hyunwoo ordered. He straightened his uniform and prepared to meet humanity's first contact with alien life. The screen flickered, then showed a creature that made several officers step back in fear. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and skin that looked like polished stone. Its eyes were pure black, and when it spoke, its voice echoed like thunder in a cave. "I am Supreme Arbiter Vashitai of the Galactic Council," the alien said. "I speak for 12 civilizations that have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We bring you a message, humans of Earth." Hyunwoo felt his heart pounding, but he kept his face calm. "This is Admiral Hyunwoo Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. We're listening." The alien's expression grew cold. "Your species has spread across 47 star systems in just 2 centuries. This expansion is unacceptable. You are a young race that gained space travel too quickly. You lack the wisdom to use such power responsibly." "We've harmed no one," Hyunwoo replied. "Our colonies are peaceful. We trade fairly with all species we've met." "Peace?" The alien laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You humans fight constantly. We have watched your world for thousands of years. War after war, genocide after genocide. You are a disease that will spread across the galaxy if left unchecked." Captain So-Min Lee entered the command center just as the alien continued speaking. She had been patrolling the outer colonies when the alert came through. Her ship, the UES Defiance, was humanity's fastest vessel. She had pushed the engines beyond their limits to return to Luna Command. "The Galactic Council offers you a choice," the alien said. "Submit to our guidance. Abandon your colonies beyond your home system. Surrender your faster-than-light technology. Accept our protection, and you will be allowed to exist under our rule." So-Min Lee moved to stand beside the Admiral. She had spent 5 years fighting human rebels who thought Earth's government was too soft. Those rebels had been wrong, but they had taught her something important. Humans never surrendered. It wasn't in their nature. "And if we refuse?" Hyunwoo asked. The alien's 4 arms spread wide. "Then you will be removed. Every human colony will be destroyed. Your home world will be sterilized. Your species will become a memory, like so many others who made the same choice." In the depths of Luna Command, Dr. Jin Ho Kim watched the transmission. From his secret laboratory, he was the head of Project Prometheus, humanity's most classified research program. For 10 years, he had been studying alien technology recovered from crashed ships and abandoned outposts. The project had produced weapons and defenses that no human had ever imagined possible. Dr. Kim smiled grimly as he looked at his latest creation. The aliens thought humans were primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Back on the command deck, Admiral Yoonji Choi arrived with news from the fleet. At only 35 years old, she was the youngest person ever to command Earth's space forces. She had earned her rank by winning every battle she fought, even when outnumbered 10-1. "Admiral Park," she whispered to Hyun-woo, "our scouts report alien vessels near 12 of our colonies. They're not attacking, just watching, waiting for our answer." The Supreme Arbiter continued his speech. "We are not cruel humans. Many species have joined the Council voluntarily. The Jektar were warriors like you. They learned to find peace under our guidance. The Mordun were explorers who spread too far too fast. They now serve happily in our fleet. You can have the same future." Captain So-Min Lee stepped forward. "May I ask a question?" The alien nodded. "Speak, human female. How many species have you destroyed for refusing your offer?" The alien's black eyes showed no emotion. 47 civilizations chose destruction over wisdom. Their worlds are now empty, their stars cold. They are remembered only as lessons for others. In his hidden base on Titan, Special Forces Commander Tae-Yang Yoon watched the transmission with his elite soldiers. These men and women had trained for situations that regular military couldn't handle. They specialized in impossible missions behind enemy lines. Tae-Yang looked at his team. "Start preparing the Ghost Protocol," he ordered quietly. "If this goes badly, we'll need to hit them where they don't expect it." The Supreme Arbiter raised one of his hands. "We give you 30 of your days to decide. Use this time wisely. Speak with your leaders. Study our ships. Learn that resistance is futile. When the time expires, we will return for your answer." Admiral Hyun-woo Park looked around the command center. He saw fear in some faces, but also determination. These were the people who had built humanity's space empire from nothing. They had survived wars, plagues, and disasters that would have destroyed weaker species. "Supreme Arbiter Vashitai," he said, his voice carrying across the solar system, to human colonies and alien ships alike. "You've made your position clear. Now let me make ours equally clear." He paused, letting his words sink in. Throughout human space, billions of people watched and waited. Humanity has never learned how to surrender, Hyun-woo said. "We don't bow to anyone. We don't abandon our people. We don't give up what we've built with our own hands. You've given us 30 days to consider your offer. Here's our answer right now." The alien leaned forward, expecting the usual pleas for mercy. "Go to hell." The transmission ended. The alien ships remained at the edge of the solar system, waiting. But something had changed in that moment. Across human space, people began preparing for war. Not the limited conflicts they had known before, but a fight for the very survival of their species. The Council had made their first mistake. They thought humans would be afraid. Instead, they had just made humanity very, very angry. 3 days after Admiral Park's defiant response, something unexpected happened. The aliens sent another message, but this time their tone was different. Supreme Arbiter Vashatai appeared on screens across human space, but he no longer looked angry. Instead, he seemed almost pleased. "Humans of Earth," the alien said, "we understand your initial reaction. Fear makes all species say things they do not mean. We are willing to negotiate. Send your diplomats to discuss terms of your surrender." Ambassador Rena Song received the call while she was reviewing evacuation plans for the outer colonies. She was Earth's best negotiator, a woman who had ended 3 civil wars with nothing but words. Now she faced the greatest challenge of her career. "They want to talk," she told Admiral Park during their secure video call. "This might be our chance to find a peaceful solution." Admiral Park shook his head. "There is no peaceful solution, Ambassador. They've made that clear. But if you think talking will buy us time, then talk." Rena Song understood what he meant. Every day of negotiations was another day for humanity to prepare for war. She would play her part in the deception. Captain So-Min Lee was already playing hers. Her ship, the UES Defiance, had the most advanced stealth systems in the human fleet. While the aliens waited for Earth's diplomats, she was moving through the outer system like a ghost, mapping their positions and studying their technology. What she found surprised her. The alien ships were incredibly advanced, but they had one major weakness. Their weapons were designed to intimidate, not to fight. Massive energy cannons that could destroy cities, but they took too long to aim. Shields that could stop anything, but only if they knew where the attack was coming from. "These ships weren't built for war," she reported to Admiral Park. "They were built for conquest. There's a difference." Meanwhile, on Europa, Dr. Jin-Ho Kim was having the same realization about alien technology. His team had been studying recovered alien devices for years. The technology was impressive, but it was also old. Very old. "They haven't upgraded their systems in centuries," he told his assistant, Dr. Hae-Won Park. "They've been using the same weapons and shields for so long that they've forgotten how to improve them." Dr. Kim looked at his latest project. Prometheus was nearly complete. Human technology wasn't as advanced as alien technology, but it was newer. More importantly, it was designed by people who understood war. The first alien diplomatic shuttle arrived at Luna Command 5 days later. It was a beautiful ship, covered in the same blue crystals as their warships. Ambassador Rena Song met them with a full honor guard and every sign of respect she could manage. The alien diplomat was smaller than the Supreme Arbiter, but just as arrogant. It called itself Speaker Zethran, and spoke as if humanity should be grateful for the chance to surrender. "Your species shows promise," the alien said as they walked through Luna Command's halls. "Under Council guidance, you could become useful members of galactic society. The Vrex were once as violent as humans. Now they serve as our police force. The Kethmore were scientists like you. They maintain our technology." Rena Song nodded and smiled, playing the part of a desperate leader, looking for any way to save her people. What would surrender mean for humanity? Could we keep our colonies? "The inner colonies, perhaps," Speaker Zethran replied. "The outer worlds are too dangerous. Humans in those systems have grown too independent. They would need to be relocated. What? The alien didn't see was the anger that flashed in Rina Song's eyes. Those outer colonies were home to 50 million people. The alien was talking about destroying their lives as casually as discussing the weather. While the fake negotiations continued, Admiral Eunji Choi was moving her fleets into position. The aliens thought they were watching humanity's military preparations, but they were seeing exactly what she wanted them to see. Her ships gathered in defensive formations around Earth and the major colonies. To alien observers, it looked like humanity was preparing to fight a desperate last stand. The formations looked strong to human civilians, but weak to anyone who understood space combat. In reality, Admiral Choi was setting a trap. Every defensive position was carefully chosen to give her ships maximum firepower when the time came. The aliens would find themselves caught in crossfire from directions they never expected. On Mars, diplomat Jae-won Shin was running his own deception. He had been feeding false information to alien spies for weeks, letting them think they knew humanity's military capabilities. According to his fake reports, Earth had maybe 200 combat-ready ships and enough ammunition for a few weeks of fighting. The real numbers were very different. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since their first contact with alien technology. Hidden shipyards throughout human space had been building warships in secret. Underground bunkers held enough weapons and supplies for years of war. Commander, Tai Yang Yoon's special forces were playing the longest game of all. While diplomats talked and admirals positioned fleets, his soldiers were doing something no one expected. They were infiltrating alien ships. It shouldn't have been possible. Alien security was supposed to be perfect. But Tai Yang had discovered something interesting about the Council species. They had been at peace for so long that they had forgotten how to watch for enemies. His soldiers used captured alien technology to disguise themselves. They moved through Council ships like maintenance workers, planting devices and gathering intelligence. The aliens never suspected that the repair drones working on their hulls were actually human commandos. Their command structure is completely centralized, Tae Yang reported to Admiral Park. Everything goes through the Supreme Arbiter's ship. Take that out, and the rest of their fleet will be confused and leaderless. As the days passed, more alien ships arrived at the edge of the solar system. The Council was assembling the largest fleet in their history, preparing to crush human resistance in a single, overwhelming attack. What they didn't realize was that humanity was using their own confidence against them. Every alien ship that arrived was another target. Every day they waited was another day for human preparations to continue. Ambassador Rina Song played her part perfectly. She asked desperate questions about surrender terms. She begged for mercy for human colonies. She made the aliens believe that Earth's leaders were looking for any way to avoid total destruction. Speaker Zethron grew more confident with each meeting. "Your Admiral Park was foolish to refuse our first offer," the alien said. "But wisdom can be learned. When you surrender, we will be merciful to those who cooperated." Rina Song nodded sadly, as if she agreed. Inside, She was counting down the days until humanity's real response would be revealed. The aliens thought they were negotiating with a defeated enemy. They were actually giving their prey time to prepare for the hunt. 27 days remained until the Council's deadline. Both sides were preparing for war. Only one side knew it. Day 30 arrived with the silence of space. The Council's massive fleet hung at the edge of the solar system like metal storm clouds, waiting for humanity's final answer. Supreme Arbiter Vashatai had called for one last meeting, expecting Ambassador Rena Song to arrive with Earth's surrender documents. Instead, she came with something very different. The meeting took place aboard the Council flagship, a ship the size of Manhattan that gleamed with alien technology. Rena Song walked through halls filled with holographic displays showing the positions of every human ship, every colony, every military base. The aliens had been watching everything, confident in their complete understanding of human capability. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Supreme Arbiter, Rena Song began, standing before the towering alien leader. I bring Earth's final response to your generous offer. Vashatai leaned forward in his crystalline throne, expecting the words of surrender he had heard from 47 other species. His black eyes showed satisfaction as he prepared to add humanity to the Council's list of conquered civilizations. Speak, human, he commanded. Rena Song smiled, and for the first time in 30 days, it was genuine. You offered us a choice between submission and destruction. You were wrong about something important. Those aren't the only options. The aliens' expression began to change. Explain. You assume we're like the other species you've conquered. You think we'll choose survival over freedom. You believe we'll trade our children's future for a few more years of existence. Her voice grew stronger with each word. You don't understand humans at all. She activated a small device hidden in her diplomatic bag. Throughout human space, the signal went out. Every hidden weapon, every concealed ship, every secret base received the same message. Execute Order Prometheus. We choose option 3, Rena Song said. We choose war. The first shot came from Captain Dong-Hyun Kang aboard the UES Retribution. His ship had been hiding inside the sun's corona for 3 days, using the star's energy to mask its presence. No sane species would park a spacecraft that close to a burning star, but humans had never been accused of sanity. The Retribution emerged from the solar fire like an avenging angel, its hull glowing red-hot from stellar radiation. Captain Kang's plasma cannons, supercharged by solar energy, struck the Council flagship before the aliens could even detect his approach. The first blast punched through shields that had never failed in 10,000 years. The second blast tore through the flagship's command section. The third blast sent Supreme Arbiter Vashatai tumbling from his throne as his mighty ship shuddered and burned. But that was just the beginning. Throughout the solar system, Admiral Yoonji Choi's defensive formations revealed their true purpose. Ships that looked like they were protecting colonies suddenly turned their weapons on the alien fleet. The Council vessels found themselves caught in crossfire from every direction. Captain So Min Lee's reconnaissance had been perfect. Every alien weakness she had discovered was now being exploited. Their massive weapons couldn't track fast-moving human ships. Their powerful shields only worked against attacks from the front. Their communication systems used old frequencies that human hackers could disrupt. On Europa, Dr. Jin-Ho Kim watched his life's work unfold. Project Prometheus wasn't just one weapon. It was an entire new way of thinking about warfare. While the aliens had spent centuries building bigger and stronger weapons, humans had learned to be smarter and faster. His kinetic bombardment platforms activated first. Asteroids that had been secretly equipped with drive systems began accelerating toward Council ships. By the time they reached 99% of light speed, each rock had the destructive power of an atomic bomb. The alien point defense systems were designed to stop energy weapons and missiles. They had no idea how to handle a piece of iron moving at near light speed. The first asteroid impacts shattered 3 Council vessels instantly. Then came the quantum mines. Dr. Kim's greatest achievement, these weapons could phase shift through solid matter until they reached their target's reactor core. The alien shields meant nothing against weapons that could pass right through them. Commander Eugene Park was leading the assault on the Kepler system, where a Council squadron had been, watching human colonies. Her 12 ships faced 60 alien vessels, odds that would have terrified any sane commander. Eugene Park was not sane. She was human. Her ships came out of hyperspace already firing. The alien commander tried to organize a response, but Eugene's tactics made no sense to a species that had only known overwhelming victory. Her ships split up, attacked from multiple directions, then vanished back into hyperspace before the aliens could respond. When the Council ships tried to pursue, they found themselves flying into carefully placed minefields. When they tried to retreat, human ships appeared behind them. In less than an hour, Eugene had destroyed an entire alien squadron while losing only one of her own vessels. At Alpha Centauri, Captain Woo Jin Lee was attempting something that would have been impossible for any other species. He was using a star as a weapon. His ship, the UES Stellar Forge, fired a series of specialized torpedoes into Alpha Centauri's photosphere. The torpedoes contained compressed matter designed to destabilize stellar plasma. Within minutes, the star began producing massive solar flares. The Council fleet at Alpha Centauri found themselves caught in a storm of radiation and plasma that overwhelmed their shields and fried their electronics. Those ships that survived the initial flare were sitting ducks for Captain Lee's follow-up attack. Back in the Sol system, Commander Tae-Yang Yoon's infiltration teams were wreaking havoc inside alien ships. The maintenance drones that had been working on Council vessels for weeks suddenly revealed themselves as human commandos. They struck simultaneously across the enemy fleet. Command centers exploded. Navigation systems failed. Weapon controls went offline. The mighty Council armada found itself blind, deaf, and helpless as human soldiers fought room-to-room battles inside their own ships. Supreme Arbiter Vashatai struggled to his feet as his flagship shook from internal explosions. Around him, his bridge crew stared in shock at displays showing the destruction of their fleet. In 30 minutes, humanity had destroyed more Council ships than had been lost in the previous 1,000 years. "Impossible," he whispered. "They're primitives." They have no experience with galactic warfare. Ambassador Rena Song was still standing in his throne room, protected by a personal shield generator that her diplomatic bag had concealed. She watched the alien leader's growing panic with satisfaction. "You're right," she said. "We have no experience with galactic warfare. We only know human warfare. The difference is that we've never stopped learning how to kill our enemies." On Luna Command, Admiral Hyun-Woo Park watched the battle displays with grim satisfaction. The first phase of Operation Prometheus was succeeding beyond their best hopes. The Council fleet was in chaos, their formations broken, their command structure shattered. But this was just the beginning. Humanity had spent 30 days preparing for this moment, and they had plans within plans. The aliens had come to Seoul, system expecting to destroy a primitive species. Instead, they had walked into the most sophisticated trap in human history. The Council had made their second mistake. They had given humanity time to prepare. Soon, they would learn what happened. When you threatened a species that had never learned how to lose, the news of humanity's victory in the Sol system spread across the galaxy like wildfire. For the first time in 10,000 years, a species had not only refused the Council's ultimatum, but had destroyed their fleet. Alien worlds that had lived under Council rule for centuries began to whisper about the impossible. Supreme Arbiter Vashti survived the destruction of his flagship, barely escaping in a damaged shuttle. He arrived at the Council's capital world of SciFiPrime with news that shattered their ancient confidence. The humans were not surrendering. They were attacking. The Council's emergency session was chaos. 12 species that had ruled the galaxy through fear and overwhelming force suddenly faced an enemy they didn't understand. Elder Morthak of the Kethmore Science Cast stood before the assembly, his 3 arms shaking as he read the battle reports. "The human fleet has moved beyond their home system," he announced. "They are advancing on our military strongholds. Our forces at Vega Prime, Rigel Station, and the Draconis sector have all gone silent." Admiral Hyun-Woo Park was leading humanity's deep strike mission aboard his flagship, the UES Vengeance. The massive battleship had been built in secret over 5 years, incorporating every piece of alien technology that Dr. Jin-Ho Kim's team could reverse engineer and improve. His target was the Council's primary military academy on Vorthak, where alien officers had trained for centuries in the art of conquest. But Admiral Park had no intention of simply destroying the facility. He had something much more devastating in mind. Fleet Admiral Min-Soo Han commanded the largest human battle group ever assembled. 200 ships accompanied him toward SciFiPrime, the heart of Council power. His orders were simple: demonstrate to the galaxy that the Council could not protect even their own capital. The first major battle came at the Vega system, where a Council defense fleet waited in formation around an ancient space station. Commander Hye-Jin Song led the human assault with tactics that defied every rule of galactic warfare. Instead of attacking the station directly, her ships began hurting asteroids from the system's belt, using gravity manipulation technology stolen from alien wrecks. The humans created an artificial meteor storm that overwhelmed the station's defenses. The Council defenders tried to respond with their traditional tactics. They formed up in massive battle lines, brought their heaviest weapons to bear, and expected the humans to meet them in honorable combat. The humans had no interest in honor. They struck from the asteroids using the rocks as cover and weapons, simultaneously. Captain Bo-Ra Kim's destroyer squadron played deadly games of hide-and-seek among the floating debris, appearing just long enough to fire their weapons before vanishing again. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Council's impregnable fortress was drifting wreckage, and every defending ship had been destroyed. Commander Song had accomplished this with the loss of only 4 human vessels. At Rigel Station, the aliens tried a different approach. They had learned from Vega that traditional formations were useless against human tactics. Instead, they spread their ships throughout the system and tried to use their superior numbers to overwhelm the attackers. Captain Wu Jin Lee was ready for them. His ship, the UES Stellar Forge, had been equipped with Dr. Kim's latest creation, stellar manipulation technology that could turn a star into a weapon. The Rigel system contained a binary star pair, 2 massive suns orbiting each other in a deadly dance. Captain Lee's torpedoes destabilized the gravitational balance between them, causing one star to dump plasma onto its companion. The resulting explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. The Council fleet at Rigel simply ceased to exist, vaporized by stellar fire. The human ships, protected by experimental shields and positioned at a safe distance, watched the light show and moved on to their next target. News of these victories reached the Council chambers on SciFiPrime, where panic was beginning to replace ancient arrogance. The Jektar war leaders demanded permission to use their most powerful weapons, planet killers that had been kept in storage for millennia. Elder Vashatai, still recovering from his wounds, stood before the assembly. These humans fight like no species we have ever encountered. They use tactics that make no sense. They treat their own lives as expendable. They turn our own weapons against us. What the Council didn't know was that their communications were being monitored. Commander Taeyang Yoon's infiltration teams had left more than just explosives aboard alien ships. They had planted listening devices throughout the Council's command network. Every strategic discussion, every fleet movement, every desperate plan was being transmitted to human commanders in real time. The aliens were fighting blind against an enemy that could see their every move. Admiral Park's assault on the Vorthak Military Academy began with a message broadcast on all Council frequencies. Commander Hyejin Song appeared on their screens, speaking directly to the alien cadets, who had been training to conquer primitive species. "This is Commander Song of the Earth Defense Fleet," she said. "You have been taught that the Council is invincible. You have been told that resistance is futile. Today you learn the truth. Her ships didn't destroy the Academy. Instead, they surrounded it and began broadcasting human military history. Battle after battle, war after war, showing how humanity had survived every attempt at conquest." The message was clear. This is what happens when you threaten human children. The alien cadets watched in growing horror as human tactics were displayed for their education. The humans weren't just winning through superior technology, they were winning through superior thinking, superior adaptation, and superior refusal to accept defeat. Dr. Jin Ho Kim's final weapon was ready for deployment. Project Prometheus had one last surprise for the Council. something that would break their will to fight completely. His research teams had discovered how to destabilize the quantum foundations of Council shield technology. When the weapon activated, every Council ship in a 50 light-year radius found their shields failing simultaneously. The aliens had built their entire military strategy around those shields. Without them, their massive vessels were just slow-moving targets. Fleet Admiral Min Su-han received the signal that the quantum disruptor was active. His battle group was only hours away from SciFiPrime, and now the Council's capital defenses were helpless against human weapons. "All ships," he broadcast to his fleet, "prepare for orbital bombardment. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity." The Council's supreme battle station, a moon-sized fortress that had guarded SciFiPrime for 1,000 years, tried to make a final stand. Admiral Su Jin-yu, commanding the heavy cruiser UES Indomitable, volunteered for the mission everyone knew was suicide. Her ship rammed the battle station at full speed, her fusion reactor set to overload on impact. The explosion lit up the night sky of SciFiPrime, turning the Council's ultimate weapon into a second sun that burned for 3 days. As Council worlds burned and their fleets scattered in defeat, the aliens finally began to understand what they had awakened. Humanity wasn't just another species to be conquered. They were something the galaxy had never seen before, a civilization that grew stronger through conflict, smarter through adversity, and more dangerous when threatened. Council's 1,000-year reign was ending. The age of humanity had begun. 6 months after the Council's ultimatum, their civilization lay in ashes. What had once been the galaxy's most powerful empire was now scattered ruins floating in space. The few surviving Council ships had fled to the farthest reaches of known space, carrying news of humanity's terrible victory. Admiral Hyun-woo Park stood in the ruins of the Council's Great Assembly Hall on SciFiPrime. The massive chamber where 12 species had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years was now a burnt shell, its crystalline walls cracked and blackened by human plasma fire. The surviving Council members knelt before him in chains. Supreme Arbiter Vashtai, his 4 arms bound behind his back, looked up at the human who had destroyed everything he had ever known. "You could have been gods among the stars," Vashtai whispered. "Instead, you chose to become monsters." Admiral Park, now bearing the title of Earth's first galactic commander, looked down at the broken alien leader. "We didn't choose anything. You forced this war on us. You threatened our children, our colonies, our future. This is what happens when you make that mistake." Captain So-Min Lee, now known throughout human space as Humanity's Sword, stood beside the Admiral. Her tactical genius had been the key to many of their victories. The aliens feared her name more than any human weapon. "The remaining Council fleets are scattered across 17 star systems," she reported. "Most have surrendered without fighting. The few that resist are being hunted down by our pursuit squadrons. The galaxy's new order was taking shape under human rule." Dr. Jin-Ho Kim's research teams had stripped alien worlds of their advanced technology, integrating everything useful into Earth's growing war machine. Human understanding of physics, engineering, and weapons design had advanced by centuries in just 6 months. Director Yeonseo Lim oversaw the education centers where surviving aliens learned about their new place in the galaxy. These weren't death camps or slave facilities. They were schools where former council species studied human history and learned what it meant to live under Earth's protection. "The Kethmore are adapting well," she reported to Admiral Park. "They're scientists, so they understand the logic of our victory. The Jektar warriors are having more trouble accepting their defeat, but they're learning. The aliens studied every human war. Every genocide survived. Every time humanity had risen from destruction stronger than before. They learned about World War II, where humans had fought against impossible odds and won. They studied the colonial wars, where Earth's government had defeated rebel forces across dozens of star systems. Most importantly, they learned about the Great Plague of 2156, when a biological weapon had killed 2 billion humans. Instead of surrendering to despair, humanity had rebuilt their civilization and expanded into space with renewed determination. "Do you understand now?" Director Lim asked a group of former council officials. "Every disaster makes humans stronger. Every war teaches them new ways to fight. You didn't attack a weak species. You attacked the most dangerous predators the galaxy has ever produced." Governor Ji-Hoo An managed the integration of alien populations into humanity's expanding empire. Unlike the council's system of slavery and oppression, humans offered a different choice to conquered species. They could earn citizenship through service, proving their loyalty to Earth's vision of galactic order. "The Morden have requested permission to join our exploration fleets," he reported. "They want to help us map the unknown regions beyond council space. The Veltar are asking to work in our shipyards, building the next generation of human warships. Some aliens chose differently. On the remote world of Kethvar, a group of former council loyalists tried to organize resistance against human rule. Admiral Seo-Jun Park, son of the Galactic Commander, led the mission to deal with them. He arrived in orbit with a single ship and broadcast a message to the planet's surface. "This is Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, we will demonstrate why resistance to human rule is pointless. The rebels chose to fight." Seo-Jun's ship, the UES Retribution 2, carried the latest human weapons technology. The planet's surface was covered with energy shields, plasma cannons, and automated defense systems that the rebels thought would protect them. They were wrong. The human ship fired a single torpedo that passed through the planet's shields as if they didn't exist. The warhead contained a quantum virus that shut down every piece of technology on the planet's surface. In seconds, a world that had resisted. Human rule became helpless. "Surrender now," Admiral Park broadcast, "or we will turn your world into a lifeless rock. The choice is yours." The rebels surrendered immediately. The message spread throughout the galaxy. Resistance to human rule was not just futile, it was impossible. Back on Earth, massive construction projects were reshaping human space. New shipyards built vessels that combined the best of human and alien technology. Research stations developed weapons that pushed the boundaries of physics. Military academies trained the next generation of human officers in the art of galactic Conquest, Ambassador Rena Song, now Earth's Minister of Alien Affairs, stood before the United Nations General Assembly. The old building in New York had become the center of humanity's galactic government. 6 months ago, the Council offered us a choice between submission and destruction, she said. We chose option 3. We chose victory. Today, 12 species that once ruled the galaxy serve human interests. Their technology advances our science. Their resources fuel our expansion. Their worlds provide homes for human colonists. The transformation was complete. Species that had dominated the galaxy for millennia now lived at humanity's mercy. The Council's ancient palace on SciFiPrime had been converted into a museum where alien children learned about the empire their ancestors had lost to human determination. But humanity's expansion was far from over. Beyond the former Council territory lay vast regions of unexplored space. New alien civilizations waited to be discovered, evaluated, and either integrated into Earth's empire or destroyed if they proved hostile. Admiral Hyun-Woo Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the stars that now belonged to humanity. His fleet was preparing to depart for the unknown regions beyond the galactic rim, carrying human civilization to worlds that had never heard of Earth. Set course for the Andromeda approach vector, he ordered. It's time to see what else is out there. The Council had pleaded for talks, offering humanity a place in their ancient order. Earth had answered with fire, burning away 10,000 years of alien dominance. Now the galaxy belonged to humanity, and the stars themselves would learn to fear the species that had never learned how to surrender. In the darkness between galaxies, something stirred. Ancient sensors detected the approaching human fleets, and older civilizations began to take notice of the newcomers who had conquered the Council so easily. The galaxy's age of peace was over. The age of humanity had begun. And across the vast emptiness of space, the next chapter of human expansion was about to unfold.